When silence fills the room of your prayers and answers seem like a distant whisper, does it mean God has forgotten you? Or perhaps, just perhaps, could there be something deeper at play? Life often throws moments at us when we call upon God, pouring out our hearts, only to feel like the heavens are quiet. But silence is not absence, and it is certainly not rejection. What if God's silence is an answer itself, a profound, divine response wrapped in mystery, waiting for you to uncover its meaning? The Bible is filled with moments of silence from God, but none of them were ever devoid of purpose. Remember the Israelites wandering in the wilderness for 40 years? To them, it might have felt like God was distant. Yet in that silence, He was preparing them, shaping them, and guiding them into becoming a people capable of entering the promised land. Could it be that the silence you are experiencing now is God shaping you for something greater? Think about the story of Job, a man who faced unimaginable suffering, loss, and isolation. When Job cried out to God, the response wasn't immediate. It was in that silence that Job wrestled with questions, with faith, and with the depths of his own soul. The silence became a canvas for Job to rediscover God's infinite wisdom and power. Are you in a job moment right now where the silence is meant to guide you toward a deeper understanding of God's plan? Well, sometimes silence is not a denial, but a divine pause. It's a moment where God invites you to trust Him beyond what your eyes can see and your ears can hear. Imagine a parent teaching their child to walk. There are moments when the parent lets go, not out of neglect, but out of love, allowing the child to take those wobbly, uncertain steps. Could it be that God's silence is His way of letting go, giving you the space to grow, to trust, and to lean into faith like never before? The Bible tells us in Isaiah 55:8-9, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Sometimes what feels like silence is actually God working in ways beyond our understanding. What if the answer is unfolding in the quiet moments, in ways you cannot yet perceive? His timing is perfect, even when it feels like the clock is ticking too slowly. Prayer is not just about receiving, it's about transforming. In those moments when God seems silent, He might be asking you to reflect on your own heart. Are you truly open to His will, or are you holding on to expectations that don't align with His plan? Silence becomes a mirror, showing you the areas where faith can deepen, patience can grow, and surrender can blossom. God's silence also invites you into a deeper relationship with Him. It's in the stillness that you begin to hear the whispers of His Spirit, guiding you, comforting you, and reminding you that He is Emmanuel, God with us. The silence is not empty. It is filled with His presence. Are you listening closely enough to hear it? In the story of Jesus, even He experienced the silence of God. On the cross, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In that moment, it might have seemed like God was absent. But through that silence came the greatest act of love and redemption the world has ever known. The silence was part of the plan, a prelude to resurrection and victory. Could the silence in your life be a prelude to something extraordinary? The waiting can feel unbearable, but it is in the waiting that your faith is refined. The Bible reminds us in James 1:3, that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. God's silence is not the end of the story. It's the space where faith grows stronger and hope burns brighter. So if God isn't answering you right now, ask yourself this: what is He teaching you in the silence? What strength is He building within you? What path is He preparing for you to walk? These moments are not wasted. They are sacred opportunities to draw closer to Him, to trust Him, and to believe that His plans are for your good, even when you cannot see them. God's silence can feel like the most profound test of faith. It is in these moments that doubt creeps in, whispering lies about abandonment and rejection. But pause for a moment and consider this. Could the silence be God's way of reminding you that faith is not about immediate answers, but about unwavering trust? Imagine the growth that happens when you lean into the silence, not running from it, but embracing it as an essential part of your spiritual journey. Every silence has a purpose, every pause a reason, and every unanswered prayer a lesson waiting to unfold. The silence of God is never empty. It is often filled with his unseen actions. You may not see it now, but what if the silence is paving the way for something so extraordinary that it requires this time of stillness? Think of a seed buried in the soil. For a time it seems as if nothing is happening, but below the surface, roots are forming and life is preparing to break through. God's silence is the fertile ground where your faith grows deeper roots, anchoring you for the blessings and challenges that lie ahead. Sometimes the silence is an invitation to listen in a way you've never done before. While we often associate prayer with speaking, there is an equally sacred act in simply listening. What might God be saying to you in the spaces between your words? Could it be that his silence is urging you to tune out the noise of the world, to turn inward and to find him in the stillness? In Psalm 46:10, God commands, "Be still and know that I am God." His silence might just be the stillness you need to truly hear his voice. The idea that silence equals inactivity is a human perspective, not a divine one. God works in ways that transcend our understanding. When you're faced with silence, remember that God is not bound by time or limited by circumstances. He operates in eternity, and his plans unfold with perfect precision. While you wait, he weaves together threads of destiny that you cannot yet see. The silence is not the absence of his work. It is the preparation for its manifestation. Consider the moments in Scripture where God's silence preceded miracles. The years of waiting for a child in the story of Abraham and Sarah were not wasted. They were a time of faith building and trust deepening. When Jesus waited before going to Lazarus, it seemed like an unbearable silence. Yet it was followed by the resurrection of Lazarus, a miracle that strengthened the faith of many. The silence you feel might be the pause before the breakthrough, the calm before the storm of blessings God is about to unleash in your life. In the silence, God calls you to lean not on your understanding, but on him alone. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. This trust is not easy, but it is transformational. When you surrender to his timing and his plan, the silence becomes less about what you're not hearing and more about what you're learning. Sometimes God's silence is his way of revealing areas in your life that need healing or growth. Are there parts of your heart that you've been unwilling to surrender? Are there old wounds that need to be addressed before you can step into the fullness of his plans? The silence might be God's way of drawing you closer, of calling you to confront the things that hinder your spiritual growth. In this way, his silence becomes a tool for refining, not rejecting. And perhaps the silence is a reminder that God's love is not dependent on immediate answers. His love is constant, unchanging, and eternal. Even when you cannot feel it, it is there, holding you, guiding you, and working all things for your good. The silence is not a separation, but a testament to his deep desire for you to trust him fully, to rely on him completely, and to know that his plans are always better than your own. What if this moment of silence is the most sacred part of your journey? What if it is the place where your faith becomes unshakable, your hope becomes unyielding, and your trust becomes unbreakable? The silence is not the end. It is the beginning of something far greater than you could imagine. So as you sit in the silence, waiting for answers, know this: you are not alone. God is with you, in the silence, in the waiting, and in the unknown. Trust in his timing, lean into his love, and believe in his promises. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think God's silence is teaching you? And don't forget to subscribe for more reflections like this. For a deeper dive into God's plans for your life, check out the video linked in the description. Thank you for watching, for seeking, and for trusting in the God who never fails.